Hey Exiles! Welcome back to Zenshi's Lightning Arrow Leveling Guide. This is part 2. If you haven't already watched part 1, I highly suggest you doing so since this is in continuation. Link to part 1 can be found in the video description down below. In the previous episode we went over how to get this build up and running for the first axe, and this episode we will talk about what skill setups we can use going forward towards the next ones. I will also give you tips and tricks on how to speed up your leveling process. First up, I want to talk about an amazing skill gem called Mana Forged Arrow Support. The first sentence reads out as following: supports bow attack skills, causing them to trigger when you've spent enough mana in total on other bow attacks. And what this means is that when we use our main bow skill such as Galvanic Arrow, Rain of Arrows or Lightning Arrow, it will trigger another bow skill gem linked to Mana Forged Arrow support. Here's an example. If we link Rain of Arrows and Mana Forged Band in a separate item, then Rain of Arrows will be cast automatically every so often when we use Lightning Arrows. Fantastic, am I right? Mana Forged Arrows lets us create a lot of creative ways of playing the game. I've tried out a lot of combinations, and in this episode I will teach you what I find best for leveling. Keep in mind, just because it's best for leveling, it doesn't mean it'll be the best later in the game. So pay attention to that. I will in later episodes go over other combinations. But for now, let's focus on what's best for leveling. To level quick we want as much attack speed as possible, it makes sense, right? To get that much needed attack speed, we then link Frenzy to Mana Forged Arrows. Mana Forged Arrows can be found in Act 1 after killing Brutus, and Frenzy can be found in Act 2 after completing the quest, Intruders in Black. So pick up Mana Forged Arrows in Act 1 and use it with, for example, Galvanic Arrows. Or Rain of Arrows if you've already made the swap to Lightning Arrow as main skill. Automation is great, which leads us to our next gem.
Next up, I want to talk about curses. Curse is a debuff that you put on your enemy to either make them weaker or to take increased damage. And most classes can only apply one at the time. I mean, there are ways to apply more than one curse, but I won't go into details about it since we're not a class that'll ever get more than one curse application. Rangers get our first curse, called Sniper's Mark in Act 3, by completing the quest Lost in Love. It's worth to pick up Sniper's Mark and start using it immediately. You want to use it on rare or unique monsters and bosses. Simply by just aiming at them and click the skill. After a while of self-casting Sniper's Mark you might come to the conclusion, isn't there a better way to curse enemies? Let me tell you, there is. When you hit Act 4 and completed the quests Petrus and Vanya and the Eternal Nightmare, the vendors will offer you a gem called Mark on Hit. This gem is such a great quality of life improvement. Will automatically apply your cursed Sniper's Mark when you hit a rare or unique monster with one of your attacks. To clarify, when you hit monster with your bow skill such as Rain of Arrows or Lightning Arrow, the mark will automatically apply to them. No more self-casting. Hooray! In this next section, I want to talk about general tips and tricks to make your leveling either easier, faster, or both. In our first episode we didn't talk about movement skill gems and Quicksilver flasks, so let's get this out of the way. They are both very important to make leveling faster and easier. Having higher movement speed and being able to blink around helps you dodge enemies' attacks as well. Teleport skills is one of our main ways to move quick. They do not only provide quicker ways of moving around, but you can also jump over obstacles. When leveling a fresh character you will first be offered Dash. You get this gem already at around level 4 when you complete the quest Breaking Some Eggs in the Mudflats. Second movement skill gem we get is called Blink Arrow, which we get after killing Brutus in Act 1. Blink Arrow in combination with Dash feels so good early game, especially since we don't have a lot of movement skill from boots or our passive skills yet. I use Dash and Blink Arrow all the way till we get Flame Dash in the later parts of Act 3. Flame Dash is the superior movement skill gem in every way possible and will be our permanent movement skill since we get it. Why it's better is because we get 3 charges to use dash, instead of 1. Next up is Quicksilver Flask. This flask provides a nice chunk of movement speed, but on a timer. It refills slowly and gains charges as we kill monsters. Make it a habit to always use Quicksilver Flask and don't let the charges overcap, that's lost movement speed. I recommend to have 2 Quicksilver Flasks in your setup. That's it for this video. I hope you learned something new today. In our next episode, one will keep on giving tips and tricks so you can fast and efficiently complete the last acts in the campaign. As always, subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Stay safe, Exiles, and have a wonderful time until next time.